Whispers from the Dust. Part 1. The New Frontier. Jonathan awoke to the oppressive weight of silence. The sky above him was a muted gray, as if the sun had forgotten how to shine in this strange land. His senses were assaulted by the unfamiliar. Every breath he took was thick with the scent of earth and decay. Every sound was swallowed by the vast, barren expanse around him. He blinked, trying to clear the fog from his mind. But the memories of his past clung to him like a shadow. He wasn't sure where he was, but he knew it wasn't anywhere he had been before. The land was strange, almost otherworldly, and his instincts as a survivor kicked in immediately. He struggled to his feet, his boots sinking slightly into the soft ground, and scanned the horizon. Towering cliffs loomed in the distance, their jagged edges cutting into the dull sky. Vast plains stretched out before him, dotted with the remnants of what must have once been grand structures, now crumbled and overtaken by time. Jonathan's heart pounded in his chest, not just from the physical exertion, but from the flood of memories that rushed back to him. Images of bloodshed and violence, of lives taken and lost, all played out behind his eyes. He shook his head, trying to push them away. Those days were behind him. They had to be. But as he took his first steps into this new land, he couldn't help but feel a deep sense of foreboding. The air around him seemed to hum with energy, and there was something else. Something he couldn't quite place. It was as if the land itself was alive, watching him, waiting. He walked for what felt like hours, though it was impossible to tell time under the featureless sky. The landscape shifted subtly as he moved. Rocks seemed to rearrange themselves when he wasn't looking, and more than once, he caught sight of figures in the distance, only to have them vanish the moment he tried to get closer. The wind picked up, carrying with it faint whispers. Jonathan paused, straining to listen. The whispers seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, mingling with the rustle of dry grass and the creak of ancient trees. They were just out of reach, teasing him with half-heard words that sent chills down his spine. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice rough from disuse. The only answer was the wind, which seemed to mock him with a ghostly laugh. Jonathan tightened his grip on the handle of his revolver, a comforting weight at his side. He was no stranger to danger, but this was different. He pressed on, his boots crunching against the brittle earth. As he walked, he took in the twisted beauty of Ashen'tall. Yes, that was the name he'd heard whispered on the wind. It was a land of contrasts, where the ruins of past civilizations stood as silent sentinels against the encroaching wilderness. Towering cliffs rose up on either side of him, their surfaces etched with strange symbols that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. Jonathan paused at the edge of a cliff, looking out over the vast, empty plain below. The wind howled around him, carrying with it more of those elusive whispers. He closed his eyes, letting the sounds wash over him, trying to make sense of them. "Why am I here?" he murmured, the question directed more at himself than the mysterious forces at play. But the wind didn't answer. Instead, it carried with it a different sound, a distant echo of a voice, faint but unmistakable. Jonathan's eyes snapped open, and he scanned the horizon, but there was no one in sight. Still, the voice persisted, a soft, almost ethereal whisper that seemed to come from the very earth beneath his feet. It was calling him, urging him to move forward, deeper into this strange and dangerous land. Jonathan took a deep breath, steeling himself for whatever lay ahead. He wasn't sure if this was a dream or some twisted new reality, but one thing was clear. Ashen'tall held secrets, and if he was to find any peace, he would have to uncover them. With a final glance back at the barren landscape he had crossed, Jonathan turned and began his descent into the unknown, the whispers of Ashen'tall guiding his steps. If you like this epic saga and would love more, like and subscribe.